This is a Louie T Network exclusive.
Hey, either you're outside or you're
in the lab room.
Draft Zone.
Who else? Could it be? Me. Your me. Louie T. Welcome. You are in the lab room, of course. I am your host, Luke. Thank you for joining me here on the 2016 NFL Draft Wrap-Up Series, where your man Louie T aims to break down all 32 teams in the National Football League's 2016 NFL Draft using our baseball grading scale, single, double, triple, home run. There are no strikeouts here in the Draft Wrap-Up Series. So we cannot tell how these players are going to pan out, and I don't want to discount any of these young men before they get their chance in the National Football League. And so we'll get a score for each and every single player selected in X said team's draft, tally up those scores, apply bonuses when necessary, divide by the number of selections, which will then yield us a final overall score and grade for that team's draft. We'll then move on to the next team in the series picked by you. That's right, you the viewers are in total control, as this is the you pick format, or as I like to call it, the up format. You, the viewer, are in total control, as all you have to do, it's a really simple process. You guys have done a magnificent job with it. Is simply be the first to leave a comment in the comment section. Love the competition that has gone on this entire series. You guys have done an outstanding job of getting in there, getting your team up, and having the two components that are necessary. The phrase next and the team you'd like to see next. This has been pretty much flawless this year. In past years, had some issues with that. Who was first, didn't leave the next in there, or put up a team that had already been done. It's been pretty clean this year. You guys have done a great job, and we're coming down home stretch now. So just continue to be mindful of the teams that have been done already, and we'll finish this thing up the way that it's been the entire time, which has been pretty much a clean go of it. So with that being said, the next team in the series, picked by you, the viewer, is the Tennessee Titans. And I must say, they did one hell of a job. New general manager John Robinson has come in and changed some things up, and it needed to be changed in Tennessee. There needed to be some sweeping changes. There's still some questions about the organization up top and ownership and all of those things. But from a football standpoint, I think they got the right guy in-house now, making the football decisions, picking the personnel, because I tell you what, Jacksonville pretty much hit it out of the park. Titans came damn close. And this draft right here, I talk about this all the time. When you're trying to build it from the ground up, when you blow the whole operation up and you say, all right, let's start over, let's do this thing the right way. Last year, to me, was the beginning of the start of the future for the Tennessee Titans. When you go out and get your franchise quarterback, that's the start of the beginning. Now it's about building a team and a roster around your franchise quarterback. This is the draft right here that I look at and I say to myself, you already had some stuff in Tennessee. You had some stuff. Not a lot of it was of high quality, but you had some stuff. There's a couple of guys in there I could pick out and say, hey man, this guy's top notch. But it wasn't many. This is the type of draft right here where you start building a foundation to have a successful program. And I look at this draft and it is littered with players that I think are going to have immediate impacts for this football team and have long-reaching consequences moving forward in terms of impact on this roster. So this is a draft where I see short-term impact, long-term impact as well. And that's what you're looking for in every single draft that you have as a general manager. You start in the first round of this Tennessee Titans draft. Now, first round, 8th overall selection, Michigan State offensive lineman Jack Conklin is the selection. 6'6", 308 pounds. This guy's got great length, 35-inch arms. And it's funny because in this process, we talked about, especially me, I can't speak for anybody else and I won't, but myself included in this, I was huge on, hey, let's replace Taylor Lewan at left tackle. If you can get your hands on a left tackle, let's replace Taylor Lewan. And I had Titans fans saying, Taylor Lewan isn't the problem. He's fine at left tackle. Let's go get a right tackle. And that's what the Titans effectively did. They said, hey, look, Taylor, you're good. You're an athlete. We feel good about you at left tackle. We're going to go get you a compliment at the right tackle position. So this is a right tackle pick here. You're not picking Jack Conklin to come in and compete with Taylor Lewan for the left tackle position. And I think sometimes we forget what an athlete Taylor Lewan is. And that draft class in itself had some incredible athletes at the tackle position. And Taylor Lewan may have been the best of that bunch. And so he's taking care of business at left tackle. Now you got a guy that's going to come in, man up the right tackle position, and probably be bookend tackles for the next decade or so, protecting Marcus Mariota. You're hoping you get your combination of Ruse and Stewart back, which was a combination that held it down in Tennessee for just about a decade. So you're hoping that this is the new Ruse and Stewart combination here with Conklin and Lewan. Physical, tough, and downright nasty is the next pro. And you know how I feel about nasty offensive linemen. Love it! This is a guy that I used to play baseball back in my day, okay? And one of the terms we used to use, a little bit of the baseball lingo, which is terrible. Baseball lingo is horrible. But one of the terms we used to use when someone would throw a great pitch, I mean a nasty breaking ball, a slider in the dirt, you swing at it, looks like a strike, then the bottom falls out, something like that, that's filthy. That's filthy. When you throw a nasty pitch, that's filthy. I look at Jack Conklin, he's filthy. He's nasty. He's dirty, and I love it. I want more of it. This is a dude that creates a new line of scrimmage in the run game. We're talking run game right now. You're talking about one of the best in this draft. This dude is a nasty boy. Nasty boy. He's a nasty boy. He's nasty, man. I watched this dude take Oregon defensive tackle DeForest Buckner. Defoe. Who? Defoe. I'm going to go ahead and tuck mine in. I watched him take Defoe and throw his ass up and down the line of scrimmage against Michigan State against Oregon early in the season. I mean, we don't see DeForest Buckner get moved around very often. He's a big physical guy, long arms, strong as hell. It doesn't happen very often, but I'm telling you right now, Jack Conklin was closing the door on his ass. I mean, and again, sometimes I don't want to overstate because a lot of times it's a wash down. And he's already being blocked by the guard, and then Conklin just comes down and smashes him. But I don't give a damn, okay? You rarely see Defoe moved, and then even in one-on-one singled up situations, he was handling business versus Defoe. I mean, just mopping him up, man. And I was like, whoa. I mean, that one was an eye-opener for me. So this is a dude that is tremendous on the double team. I just talked about what he was doing to Defoe. And I watched him in a couple of other games. I thought he was dominant in the Ohio State game. Remember, backup quarterback. All right, mind you. Backup quarterback at the Horseshoe in Ohio State, where they haven't lost in eons. They're well on their way to another playoff berth and looking to go get another national championship under L.A.B. And these boys go in there with a backup quarterback and get the job done. And late in that ball game, scored tied at 14. They literally ran the football down Ohio State's throat. I mean, they said, look, we got a backup quarterback in here. We're not trying to throw the pill if we don't have to. How about we turn around and just hand the football off, and we're going to run behind big Jack Conklin and that left side of the offensive line, and we're going to mush it down their throat and see if they can stop it. You know what's coming. Stop it. I dare you. They couldn't. They ran it all the way down the field, kicked the game-winning field goal, upset Ohio State, and put them out of the playoff series. So this is a guy that, to me, run game, dominant, also has good base and punch and pass pro. So not only is he dominant in the run game, but I think he's equally as efficient in the pass game as well. A guy that will set up shop, nice base, good punch, strong punch, hit you in your chest, stop the movement of the defensive lineman. And so I think there's a lot of value in him as a pass protector as well. He recovers well when he's beaten, and we'll talk about how he gets beat sometimes off the ball. But with those 35-inch arms, he does a really good job of getting back into place. Sometimes it looks like a little bit of a hold when he does do it. But again, if it's not called, well, who's calling it, okay? I'm not going to tell you it's a hold if they don't throw the yellow hanky. It looks like a hold, but if they don't call it, so be it. Versatility. He played left and right tackle at Michigan State, but again, you got a left tackle. His name's Taylor Lewan, so there's no need for him to play left tackle unless something were to happen to him. In that event, you feel really good and confident about sliding Jack Conklin over the left tackle and keeping the ball rolling and keeping the show moving. So feel good about what you're getting in Jack Conklin in the first round. A lot of people had an issue with the Titans trading up from 15 to 8 to get him. I don't, because he wouldn't have been there at 15 if you would have tried to wait. So I get it, I understand, and I like the aggressiveness here by John Robinson and company in Tennessee. You move on to his cons. Feet are a little slow, okay? And I actually thought he was a really good athlete and still do. And when I saw him at the Combine, I was very impressed. I said, man, Jack Conklin, one of the best athletes at the Combine as an offensive lineman. Yeah, I saw the movement skills. I was impressed. If I'm not mistaken, I think he ran like a 5 flat 40. So, I mean, this guy can move, but his feet are kind of slow, especially when he's moving on in that kick slide. And because of his feet being a little slow, I think he opens up sometimes a little early, and that's the next and final con, is that because the feet are a little slow, when he sets up shop, he's looking to get that kick slide going. If you got a little bit of speed, use some hand usage to put him away, you can get by him. I saw him lose a couple of times in that instance where feet weren't fast enough to keep up with the guy in front of him. He tried to recover. I talked about him recovering well. Defender slapped the hands down, put him away, got past him, got to Connor Cook. And what he does to overcompensate for that is he'll try to hurry up, get out there, and he'll turn his hips, which is a no-no, especially when that defensive lineman hasn't commit to a move yet. You can't open up the hips and open that gate up, because once you open that gate and that defensive lineman still has the opportunity to get to the inside, if he hasn't committed to an outside rush, you can't open up the gate. You can't open up that hip and turn. Once you do that, you open up the floodgates to an easy inside rush. Saw him do that as well. And once he does that, he can't recover there. He can't open up here and then get back here. It's just not happening with Jack Conklin. Not athletic enough to do that. So sometimes he'll open that gate up just to make sure I don't get beat with the speed. I'm going to go ahead and turn my hip. That's a no-no. That opens up the inside. The most direct path to the quarterback is an inside rush. So just be mindful of that. I hope the Titans clean that up with Jack Conklin, because there's not a lot of issues here. This guy's pretty clean, and we're going to talk about the direction that this offensive line is going in Tennessee. But I love the direction of this draft. Starting in the first round, 8th overall selection, Michigan State offensive lineman Jack Conklin. He's hit hard. He's hit deep. Out of here. It's a home run for the Tennessee Titans in the first round as they go out and solidify the offensive line at the tackle position. You got one, now you got two with Jack Conklin, Michigan State offensive lineman. You go to the second round, 35th overall selection. Clemson edge rusher Kevin Dodd is the pick. I thought this was a fringe first round pick here. I thought this was a guy that someone would take in the first round. I thought that if you were going off of just sheer production throughout his entire career in college, no, not a first round pick. But if you're going off of what this man did last season at Clemson, first round pick. So there was a little bit of an internal struggle, I'm thinking, with some teams. They looked at him and they said, this guy's really good, but we're not sure. We got other pressing needs. We see guys that are a little bit better, much better body of work, a higher upside, all of those things. So he falls to the second round. To me, excellent value here. This is a guy that I absolutely love. You watch the tape, and I've already broken him down in the Draft Prospects 101 series, so not going to do that here. But this is a guy that if you watch the tape, there's no denying the talent here. All right, and I think there's some more upside. Again, a guy that didn't get an opportunity to really shine at Clemson until later on in his career. So I think when he got the opportunity, he made the most of that opportunity. And I thought he saved his best for last. If you go watch him in that Alabama championship game, the dude was all over the field. He was in the backfield making tackles for loss. There's a lot here. And not only, to me, is he a really good, slippery pass rusher, that I don't think he gets enough credit for that. But this is a guy that sets the edge in the run game, gets in the backfield, makes tackles. He's an all-around edge pass rusher. He's an all-around outside linebacker, which is what I think he's going to ultimately play in this Titans scheme. And I think they're going to move him around. And he's a lot more athletic than people give him credit for. Love this selection. I love this selection because I think they're missing edge rushers. Brian Orakpo is good, but he's not real, okay? As a Redskins fan, I can tell you that to your face. I thought he had a good season last year, but he's unimpactful, okay? When he gets his sacks, they don't really impact the games that you need him to impact. He's not sacking Andrew Luck, okay? He's gonna sack Blake Bortles, okay? Or he may not even do that, okay? Because the division sacks, they matter. We didn't get a lot of those in Washington. I don't know what you got last year, but he's not a guy that, he's gonna sack Jameis Winston, okay? When you play an NFC team, he's gonna go light them up for 2.5 sacks. So you need a guy that's gonna come in and impact the game, and I think Kevin Dodd could be that for you in Tennessee. 35th overall selection, Clemson edge rusher. Kevin Dodd for me. You can put him on the board. Yes! It's another home run for the Tennessee Titans as they go back-to-back Jacks in the first 2 selections of their draft, and there's more home runs to come, folks. This is a nasty draft, if I may say so myself. We go on to the second round. Once again, 3 second-rounders for the Titans doing some serious damage. And if you got 3 second-round picks, this is what you need to do with these second-round picks. Penn State defensive lineman Austin Johnson is the selection. 6'4", 314 pounds. Great combination of size and athleticism. This is an ex-B-baller, okay? A dude that loves playing ball. It's in his genes. His sister over there balling right now, if I'm not mistaken, at Michigan State. So balling is in his genes. It's in his DNA. He loved to do it, but his frame filled out. I mean, this dude was an all-world baller in high school. Thought he was going to end up playing college ball, but the frame continued to grow. He continued to get bigger, and he was like, man, I don't know about too many 6'4", 300-pound dudes balling. I just don't see that. So what would I do in the league? What would I do in college? So he realized I probably need to stick to the gridiron. That's what he did. So because he played b-ball and has that in his past, this is a guy that is extremely athletic, and you can see it on the field. Raw strength. This guy is stupid strong, and when he gets the proper leverage, uses the proper technique, this is a guy that can take a dude and dump truck and literally bulldoze him into the lap of the quarterback. Seen him do it, and seen him do it consistently enough to know that that's something that's real. He has that kind of strength, and I think that's something else that the Titans looked at and said, man, this guy could be a force for us as a nose in our 3. Because you got to have a nose. If you're going to play a 3-4 defense, you got to have a true nose tackle, and I think this is a guy that can do that for you at the next level. Started the point of attack, and even versus double teams. So this, and sometimes to a fault. We'll talk about that a little bit later on, but this is a dude that is as stout as you will find in this draft, in the trenches. And the thing I love about him, because at the next level, he may have to eat up some double teams. They may ask him to play the 0 tech, to play the 1 tech, and ask him to take on double teams. And he did it at Penn State, and he did it with a smile on his face, and he did it with 2 guys draped all over him and was not moved. He found a way to hold up that point of attack at the line of scrimmage with 2 guys trying to move him back, and he just wasn't going for it. So in one-on-one situations, you're not moving this guy, straight up, okay? You may turn him, which we'll talk about a little bit later on, but you're not going to move him off the line of scrimmage and create a new line of scrimmage. Austin Johnson not having it. You move on to his next pro, relentless pursuit. This is a guy that is extremely aware. I'm going to go ahead and lump that in because that's the next pro. Relentless pursuit and extremely aware. I watched him in a couple of games, one against Buffalo, another one against Ohio State, and I think I watched him in one more contest as well. I can't think of the game, but the beauty in what he does is he's smart. You're not going to allow him to run up the field, set up a screen, and have Austin Johnson 4 yards in the backfield running after the quarterback like a madman. Nah, not happening. If he smells screen, if he gets the slightest inkling that you're trying to run screen, he's out there already. Against Buffalo, it was beautiful. They throw a swing pass, almost like a screen, but it was a swing pass where the offensive lineman kind of released. The quarterback kind of got it out there quick. It wasn't your traditional screen. It was like a flare to the outside. Running back catches the football out of the backfield. And Austin Johnson cut him off. I mean, literally had the angle and ran and made the running back cut back into the help. Whereas, you know, a lot of times coming from the line of scrimmage where he was as a defensive tackle, that running back should be able to outrun him and get up the field. And if he would have outran Austin Johnson, there was probably another 15 to 20 yards of real estate in front of him. But Austin Johnson absolutely took the perfect angle, never went for the screen, went straight outside to the flats, and absolutely beat him to the spot, forced him to cut back into the help, got him down for about a 7-yard gain, which probably would have been more like a 22-yard gain had Austin Johnson. And that's just the athleticism that I referenced earlier. It's a smart football play. This guy has high football IQ, and he's got relentless pursuit coming all the way from his defensive tackle position. 16 yards out to the outer hash, literally to the sideline, running a guy down. And that's the kind of pursuit you get out of Austin Johnson, relentless motor while he's on the field. Outstanding junior year, caps it off. And you know how I like my players coming into the league. I want that upward trajectory. I want you playing your best football of your collegiate career coming into the league. And that's exactly what Austin Johnson was doing. 78 tackles, 15 of those tackles are for loss, 6.5 sacks, a career high for him. So he's starting to put things together, and that's what you're looking for when you select a player this high in the draft, period, really. But if you're going to take a guy in the second round, I need to see that kind of production as you're leaving the collegiate ranks and making your way to the NFL, and that's what you're getting out of Austin Johnson. His cons: needs to be more aggressive, specifically be more of a penetrator. He's talented enough to impact the game way more than he does already. And look, 78 tackles, listen to what I'm saying. A defensive tackle with 78 tackles, that's reserved for a safety. That's reserved for a linebacker. We're talking about a defensive lineman, not just a defensive lineman, a defensive tackle with 78 tackles. So keep that in mind. The dude is active, all right? A bunch of tackles. But I think he can be more of a disruptor in the backfield. I think he can get more pressure on the quarterback. And it may not show up in stats, in actual sacks, but I think he can get more pressures and hurries and force the issue and push the envelope a little bit more because he's talented enough to do so. I'd love to see him not be so hell-bent on being started at the point of attack all the time and saying to himself, I'm going to go blow this play up right now. Right off the snap, I'm going with a quick swing move. I'm going to beat this guard. I'm going to split this double team, beat center and guard, and get in the backfield, or I'm going to force a holding penalty. I'm not saying it's got to show up in numbers. What if you force a holding penalty on 1st and 10 when they get a 7-yard completion? Because you decided you were going to be aggressive on this snap, split the double team with a swim move. They couldn't stop you, hold you, get a penalty. Now it's 1st and 20. You just busted up a whole drive. Just be more aggressive. Be more of a penetrator because you're talented enough to do so. Doesn't utilize counters or hand usage very often, and I don't think he utilizes it as much as he should. This is a guy that I think when that initial rush doesn't work, he's not looking to spin or do anything else. You got me. If I go with the bull rush and it doesn't work, you got me. If I go with a swim move and you're able to get up under my ribs and jack me up, there's no spin off of that. Okay, you just got me. So I'd love to see him go with some counter moves, but more so than that, all right, I want to see some hand usage. He needs to take a page out of the book of 2 of his defensive linemen running mates. And at Penn State, that was a talented defensive line, okay? Anthony Zettel, you got Austin Johnson we're talking about now, and of course Carl Nassib. You're talking about a defensive front that was wreaking havoc against opposing teams. And to me, the guy that was right next to him a lot of times, and Anthony Zettel, this guy his hands were as active as I've seen in probably the last 3 or 4 years. He's just flying around, man. I'm going to make something happen. Karate chopping all over the place. He needs to take a page out of his book. Start being more active with your hands, man. Knocking down these linemen's heads and getting into the backfield. So I'd love to see him use his hands more so than the counter move. Use your hands, man. They're there for a reason. You can win with hand usage. Ask Joey Bosa. Use your hands. I think he would be an even better football player if he started to use his hands to his advantage. But here in the second round, 43rd overall selection, Penn State defensive lineman Austin Johnson with me is a triple, man. This guy's going to come in. I expect him to start, if not day one, relatively early in his NFL career. And I think he's going to be a menace for this Titans defense up front. Dick LeBeau's going to get this thing going in the right direction. And this is the type of player that he needs up front in order for him to do that, to go to the next second round selection. 45th overall pick, Alabama running back Derrick Henry is the selection, and this was one that caught a lot of us off guard when it happened because we looked around and we said, damn, Tennessee's, if the one place they don't need any help at is running back. We looked around, they traded for DeMarco Murray in the offseason. I said, man, they still got the kid out of Minnesota that I really liked last year. And I said, man, he's going to come into his own with some more reps and a year more comfortable in the league. Oh, yeah, that young fella's going to get it done. I said, man, tell you one thing. A guy that was very underrated last year was your running back. Man, I always forget his name. Number 26, though. That guy caught the football out of the backfield last year. Andrews. His name is, I think it's Antonio Andrews, if I'm not mistaken. Thought he caught the football well out of the backfield, gave you a little bit of change of pace there. I said, man, y'all got some stuff. And then, of course, your second-round pick from a few years ago, Bishop Stanky. I said, man, you got Stanky. You got my man from Minnesota that you drafted last year. You got Antonio Andrews. And you got DeMarco Murray. Plus, the dude that we always forget, but is probably as integral a part of your offense as any of those dudes, is Dexter McCluster. I'm like, there's no way you need a running back. And they said, no, you're wrong. We do need a running back. And his name is Derrick Henry. And I've already broken him down, so of course I'm not going to do that here. But tell you what, man, this is a hell of a pick. This was ballsy because they didn't need a defensive lineman. Of all the, a running back here. Of all the positions that they could have taken here, they needed help everywhere. They went and got another running back. But if you're going to protect Marcus Mariota, if you're going to have a power run game, if you're going to be the team that becomes a bully in this division, you need the bat to go along with that mentality. Derrick Henry is that guy. Was a workhorse at Alabama. As the game wears on, he gets stronger. And I mean, if you keep giving this guy the football, he's going to pay off for you in the fourth quarter when you need it the most. And I talked about his speed and how you didn't see a lot of people tracking this guy down from behind. He's a build-up speed guy, but once he gets to top speed, good luck catching him. So there's a lot to like here. With what they're trying to do in Tennessee, and we'll talk about that when we get in the sixth round with your sixth round selection. With what they're trying to do in Tennessee, this is probably the smartest selection they made outside of Jack Conklin. Because you're building an identity here, and this is a guy to me that is the face of that identity that you're trying to create in Tennessee. In the second round, 45th overall selection, Alabama running back Derrick Henry is hit hard. He's hit deep. You can put him on the ball. Yes! It's another home run for the Tennessee Titans. They're 3rd in 4 at-bats in this game. Man, John Robinson, pat yourself on the back, man. Doing it up big right now. This is a big addition to their football team. And while he may not start the season as the starter, eventually I think in his rookie campaign, they're going to see the talent. They're going to see the value in this guy getting the bulk of the carries. And DeMarco Murray, for the 2nd year in a row, not going to be happy with his role on a football team. You move to the next selection, 3rd round, 64th overall pick, Middle Tennessee State defensive back Kevin Byard is the selection, 5'11", 216 pounds. One of my favorite selections in this draft. Tremendous athlete, 4'4'4", Moses Malone, 44'4". Okay, 38-inch vertical, so you're getting an explosive athlete here. Tremendous playmaker, and I think this is his biggest asset. This is the biggest thing that he brings to the table. It's not his best attribute, but I think it's the biggest one that jumps off the screen at you. 19 career interceptions, okay? That's a lot of interceptions. That's 19 more than Mackenzie Alexander. I'm going to stop doing that. That's not fair. But 19 career interceptions. That's a lot of damn picks. I mean, most dudes get 6 or 7 or 8, and that's a hell of a career. 19, you're talking about doubling up a dude with 9 picks. You're doubling this cat up and then 1. That's crazy, almost 20 career INTs. But that's what happens when you consistently make quarterbacks pay for being nosy in your vicinity, and you do it from your freshman season all the way to your senior year. That's what happens when you get that kind of production from day 1 all the way to the final day. That's what you get right there. 4 forced fumbles. Okay, so not only, and he had one of the most magnificent plays you'll see, a safety make against Old Dominion. That's where I graduated. I'm a Monarch. And against Old Dominion in 2014, There's a crossing route, looks like a dig route, wide open. I mean, there's nobody around this guy. He catches it. He's running up the field, down the sideline. Looks like he's going to score. And not only does Kevin Byard track him down, but he's aware enough to poke the football free from behind before he goes out of bounds, causes a fumble that's recovered in the end zone. Beautiful play, really set the tempo for that game early on. And that was probably his best collegiate game ever. I mean, forces that fumble, has another pick to really clinch the game, and also has a punt return out of this world. Ball hits the ground, and he drops it, kind of like lets it go over his head, kind of muffs it a bit. It goes back about 5 to 7 yards. He goes and picks it up, looks up, makes 2 guys miss, cuts back, shakes the punter, stiff arms him, gets up the field, gets in the end zone for about an 86-yard punt return for a touchdown. I mean, he did it all in that football game, and so I watched him single-handedly take ODU and put him in a trash can. So this is a guy that makes plays, 4 touchdowns in his career from a return standpoint on interceptions. Okay, so this is a guy that he can make you pay once he gets the football in his hands. And then I just told you about the 1 punt return he also has on his resume. So this is a guy with 5 career touchdowns. And those 4 INTs that went for touchdowns all came in his first 2 seasons. So this is a guy that was really making teams pay in his career. 19 career picks. I still can't wrap my brain around that. You go to his next pro. He's a short tackler. He's not going to light you up per se. And I know a lot of scouts that weren't really enamored with him as a tackler. I don't give a damn about that. I just want you to get the guy on the ground. You know, they're looking at it, oh, I need an enforcer. Well, okay, let somebody else do that then. This is a guy that I just want you, if you're in the back half of my defense, if you're a safety for a reason. They call them safeties because they're the last line of defense. They're the safety net. If they don't get the job done, it's a touchdown. So I don't want you looking for the kill shot. I want you to get the guy on the ground. Give me another chance as a defensive coordinator to call another play. Don't let them get a 70-yard touchdown. Tackle him for a 22-yard gain. Let me get another chance to call a play. That's what Kevin Byard does. So I don't have a problem with him as a tackler at all. Next pro, probably the best one. If the playmaking ability is his biggest pro, this is probably his best pro. High football IQ, leader and student of the game. And his head coach probably gave him the biggest praise that he could give him. He said, I was one of the guys that helped recruit Brian Dawkins at Clemson once upon a time. And he said, he reminds me so much of Brian Dawkins. Similar size, similar mentality, same number on the jersey. He said Brian Dawkins was one of those guys on a Sunday after a Saturday game. He's out on the field, backpedaling, working on his craft. He's up in the coach's office watching film. He was just a football junkie, a student of the game. Kevin Byard, same thing. A guy that just absolutely sleeps, eats, and breathes football. He's constantly in the coach's office watching film, breaking down tape of the next opponent. He's a guy that loves his craft. You see him on the field. I watched him against Alabama. He's the captain of the defense. So he's lining everybody up and he's telling the corner, hey, back up, get off. And it was beautiful because when you watch that particular play, Jacob Coker, which was a bad play on his part, the receiver had a big cushion, the defensive back, because Kevin Byard told him to back up, you give him some space. He goes off and gives him about 10 yards of space. He's on top of the route. And Jacob Coker had already made up his mind pre-snap. I'm just letting it rip. And so he throws a deep ball, and the corner almost picked it off because Kevin Byard told him to back up, and he was in perfect position. He should have thrown it back shoulder. Should have just thrown it underneath because it was giving him so much space, but he didn't. And that's just a little bit of a glimpse as to what this guy is on the field. He's a field general, and he's absolutely a student of the game. I love what he brings to the table. He's always going to know what he's got to do on the football field. And like he said, I just want to make sure I know what I'm doing on every single snap when I'm on the field. Versatility. This is a guy that's interchangeable. And we talk about the league now and what it is. Got to be interchangeable as a safety. play some free, play some strong, do both well. And he does that, so I feel like his versatility is something else that got him selected here in the 3rd round. Special teams value, already told you that he returned a punt for a touchdown. Don't see him doing that at the next level. Could do that, I doubt it. Seriously, I think where his special teams value will be most felt is on these different teams, kickoff return, kickoff coverage where he's going down and making some tackles as a gunner potentially. With that speed and his tackling ability, I can see him on just about every single special teams unit you have. You go to his cons, he can be over aggressive. I saw him get thrown out of the Alabama game for targeting. That same Old Dominion game that I talked about, he hit the quarterback on a slide late, got a penalty flag for that. This is a guy that can be over aggressive, not just as a tackler when guys are sliding to the ground, but he's also over aggressive. It can be beaten in man-to-man coverage. We'll talk about that. Matter of fact, let's talk about it now. Man-to-man. Speaking of which, can he play it? That's a question. That's a con. More of a question than a con. Can he play man-to-man coverage consistently? I'm not sure, because I saw him get beat a couple of times, and the game that comes to mind is a Western Michigan bowl game, his final game of his career, that Popeyes bowl game. I saw Corey Davis run right by it. Gave him a quick inside back outside move. It smoked him. The quarterback overthrew Corey Davis by a couple of yards. If he throws that on the money, it's a touchdown from about 70 yards out. Now, granted, Corey Davis, very explosive receiver. Probably could run past most cornerbacks, let alone a safety, but still, I don't know if I'm comfortable with him in man-to-man coverage quite yet. We'll see. That's a question that a lot of people have about Kevin Byard, but the final con is he needs to take better angles. That's something that he can clean up, and I fully expect him to. I didn't think he took great angles at Middle Tennessee State. The Alabama game comes to mind. The cornerback on that particular play, Alabama throws a hitch, with one blocker in front of him, throws a hitch out to the flats. The receiver catches it, and the corner takes a horrible angle. He's supposed to stay outside, keep that outside leverage. He comes inside, which gives away the outside. So the receiver actually comes inside of the block. The corner comes crashing down inside, so he goes back outside. But Kevin Byard comes crashing down inside as well. If he would have took an angle that would have been more in line with the sidelines, I think he would have been a guy that could have made that play. But instead, he comes crashing down, which in all actuality, he probably wasn't in the wrong. If the corner takes the right angle to the outside and he comes from the inside, that's probably not as bad as it looked, but because the corner took a bad angle, I thought his angle was made to look bad as well. But I've seen him do that even in that ODU game when he ran the guy down. I didn't think his angle was that great, which put him in a position where he was going to have to run him down from behind. But nonetheless, this is a guy that has tremendous athleticism, playmaking ability. I watched him run down a running back that I hold in high regard as an athlete at Alabama, and Kenyon Drake from behind tackled him at the 2-yard line. This is a guy with pure athleticism, playmaking ability, smarts to match. I love his game. In the 3rd round, 64th pick, Middle Tennessee State defensive back Kevin Byard is a triple for me. I think he's going to come in. Kevin Byard is going to be a huge steal for them in the 3rd round. I think a lot of people underrated this guy and what he brings to the table, and I think he's going to come in, and it would not shock me in the least if this guy's not starting soon in his career. I don't know if he's going to start day one. I don't expect him to, but I think early in his career, whether it's his rookie season or his 2nd year, this guy's going to be on the field and be a major contributor for this Titans defense. You go to the 5th round, 140th overall selection, UMass wide receiver Tajae Sharpe is the selection. 6'2", 194 pounds, long, rangy, wide out. He's a technician as a route runner, and that's the thing that jumped off the screen to me. The first thing, I watched him against Notre Dame, and he is breaking dudes off. The first step is a dynamic step. I mean, he comes off the line of scrimmage, and that first step, he went boom, and that corner opened up his hips this way, and he went inside of him, and he had him. The quarterback, Blake Fronapple, wasn't even looking his way. If he was looking, he would have had him up the seam for a nice chunk of yardage, but he wasn't even looking his way. And I just like, whoa. I mean, that was one of those, hey, hand me the scalpel, man. Hey, let me get that other tool, man. I'm about to go in here and do some work. I'm about to get surgical on these boys. He's a technician, man. Watched him break, and he wins off the line of scrimmage. Even though he's not the biggest guy, we'll talk about that a little bit later on. He wins off the line of scrimmage with the subtleties in his route running Just one of these guys that is so technically sound. Reminds me a lot of Keenan Allen in the way he runs his routes and sets guys up. He's a guy that I think can win in this league. He's going to have to catch some contested balls. We'll talk about that a little bit later on. But this is a guy that was very productive at UMass. Drugstore cotton hands is the next pro. Drugstore cotton hands. That means they're soft, people. Okay, that means his hands are soft. They're nice and inviting for the quarterback to hit. They're like pillows, man. That football hits his hands, he's gonna catch it. And I didn't see him drop many footballs. The only ones I saw him drop were the ones that were highly contested. We'll talk about that later on. But this is a guy that if he has a little bit of daylight and that football hits his hands, he's gonna catch the football. 3-level wide receiver. That means he can make plays at every single level of the football field. He can beat you deep. Now, a lot of his deep routes are off of double moves or stutters, where he comes off the line and he starts to break down like he's about to come back to the football. He freezes that defensive back for just a second and he takes off again, turns up the speed. And he's not slow, he's just not fast. He's a 4.55 guy. So we'll talk about that a little bit later on, but he's not slow. It's not like he's running a 4.63. He's a 4.55 guy, so it's not like he's tremendously slow, but he's not gonna take the top off the defense and hurt you with his deep ball. So even when he does that double move, normally that cornerback is still right there in the hip. Now Blake Fornapple made some really good throws down the field sometimes, which would allow him to still catch the football. So, but he can run the deep routes, he can run the intermediate stuff, and when he can come underneath. So a lot of underneath routes for him catching the football. So he's a 3-level wide receiver. And then his final pro, mind-blowing production over the last 3 years at UMass. Over the last 3 years, 257 catches. 111 of them came in this past season at UMass. Led the nation in catches per game. 111, that's a lot of catches. I don't care if 50 of them were at the line of scrimmage as hitches, that's still a lot of grabs. 3,280 yards receiving. That is a astronomical amount of yards and 16 touchdowns. We'll talk about that a little bit later on as well. Speaking of which, let's go to his cons. Lack of game-changing speed and low touchdown count. Now, the lack of game-changing speed, I already told you he's a 4.55 40 guy, so it is what it is. I don't see him beating defenders with just pure unadulterated speed at the next level, but I do see him being able to win some routes and get open and catch the football. But the problem I have with him not having the game-changing speed is that he doesn't get in the end zone enough for me. 16 touchdowns over the last 3 years. I know dudes putting up 16 scores in one season. With the kind of numbers that he had, or over 100 catches for over 1,300 yards, 1,400 yards, you can't have, I think he had 7 touchdowns, if I'm not mistaken. You can't have 6 touchdowns with that kind of production. And I think that speaks to his lack of game-changing speed. It speaks to him not being able to really climb the ladder and go up for the football. And it also speaks to him not winning the 50-50 balls when he is highly contested by a defensive back. He didn't win those all the time. So I think that worries me a little bit with him. I need you to get in the end zone, man. You can have, 7 catches for 111 yards, but you ain't got no damn touchdowns, man. I mean, really, what are we talking about here? If those plays result in field goals, you still probably lose the game. Get in the end zone, man. And the reason why he didn't get in the end zone a lot is this next one. Won't make many defenders miss after the catch. He's not a guy that is looking to shake anybody. And as a matter of fact, with his frail frame, which is the final con, he's looking to get down most times. Like, okay, I caught this pass. I did my job. I'm not taking a shot from this safety. I'm going to get my ass down on the ground. And so he's not looking to make anybody miss. It's not his game. It's not really in his DNA. So he's not taking a 15-yard comeback, that 17 back to 15 or that 16-yard dig route, and he's not turning it into a 36-yard touchdown. It's just a 16-yard dig route, or it's just a 20-yard gain. And that's my problem. My biggest problem and gripe with Tajae Sharpe is that he's not making teams pay for these big plays that he's creating. He's just making some plays, but he's not getting in the end zone. Maybe at the next level, they'll be able to cash in. You got Delaney Walker and some guys that may be able to go up and get the football in the end zone, but he's not doing it. So that frame, I think it's going to be an issue. If he doesn't put on some more weight, I just don't know if he can win, because you can redirect him at the line of scrimmage. If you're a good enough corner, confident in your abilities, and he didn't have the speed to really make you pay, so even if you don't get off a great jam, still think you can keep up with this guy, you can redirect him at the line of scrimmage. So I think that frame and the low touchdown count, the speed that doesn't threaten you so you feel comfortable coming up in his face and deleting the airspace, I got some questions with him. And I know he's lighting it up. He lit it up in the mini camps. I don't give a damn about that. I don't care that he might be running with the ones or anything like that. That doesn't make one bit of difference to me now. Put the pads on. Let's see if he's still doing all of that and making all the noise that he's making. In the 5th round, 140th overall selection, UMass wide receiver Tajae Sharpe for me is a double. Got questions? Don't have enough answers. Love his production. Love the things that he brings to the table. I think he's an excellent route runner. Soft hands. Brings a lot to the table. I think he's going to be a productive quarterback, or wide receiver for this Titans football team. I just question how much of an impact that he's going to have in Tennessee. We will see. 5th round, once again, 157th pick. Southern Utah cornerback LeShaun Sims is the pick. 6 feet, 203 pounds. Solid size and athleticism. Just told you he was 6 feet, 203. He put on some weight while he was at Southern Utah. And really gave himself a chance to get drafted to the next level. But he ran a 4.53 at the combine. But I heard, and this is just a little birdie chirping, that he ran a 4.41 at the Southern Utah campus prior to the season starting. So, and that has been confirmed by multiple sources. So the dude is actually a lot faster than he showed at the combine, and he just decided not to run again. He didn't run in his pro day or anything like that. So I think there's more athleticism here than meets the eye. So I think that's something that I think teams are really intrigued by, is his size and that combination of size and athleticism. Press cover corner. You know how I am about guys that love to come in the face, delete the airspace. They want to be aggressive. Let's get physical, physical. He's looking to get physical, man. Come up and touch you and be aggressive and grope you and molest you and assault you. He's looking to do that at the line of scrimmage. And I saw him do that. And I said, hey, that's pretty impressive, man. A nice little one-arm jam here to knock that receiver off balance, but still keep his base nice and solid so that he can turn and run without any issues or hiccups. I said, man, that's cute, man. That's nice. So I think there's a lot he has to offer as a press cover corner. Does a great job redirecting receivers. That's the next pro, and I touched on that just now. He can come up, 2-hand jam, 1-hand press, really disrupt the timing of the receiver. And then after he does that, he's right here in that hip pocket. Right there where he needs to be, in that hip pocket. You want to throw the football? Try me if you like. I'll pick it off, which takes me to that next pro. 6 interceptions, has really good ball skills. 4 of those interceptions, or all 6 of them, came earlier in his career, in his first 2 seasons. Didn't get any interceptions the last 2 years, but I chalk that up more so to quarterbacks. And remember, he's played in at a small school, in a small conference. So, you know, word travels. Hey, man, stay away from LeShaun Sims. That guy's making plays. Let's throw away from him. If we can, we'll stay away from him. So I think that had a lot more to do with him not having any INTs than him just not making plays. So I think there's some ball skills here. Watched him pick one off against Portland State. So I know he can go up and make plays on the football. You go to his last pro, Will Tackle. This is a guy that he's not afraid to come up and mix it up. This is a guy that's a high volume tackler. So he is definitely a guy that will come up and make a play. We'll support in the run game, but we'll talk about him in the run game a little bit later on. As a matter of fact, let's jump into that now as we transition to his cons. Doesn't get off blocks aggressively enough. He's one of these guys, you can run him off, but you can also just stock block him. You can just come up, put your hands on him, and he's not in a hurry to get off of that block. And it's not because he didn't want to get in the fray and he doesn't want to help. I just told you the dude is willing to tackle, and he's really good at it. So I'm just saying to him, like, hey, man, I need you to do more to get off of that block. You can't let this receiver block you. He's not as physical or tough as you. you need to get off that block. And I watched him against Sam Houston State, and literally all Sam Houston State does is run the football. So I had plenty of opportunities to watch him not be aggressive and get off of blocks. I'm like, hey, look, man, you starting to look like a non-participant out there. And I know that's not your DNA. That's not what you're about. Go get into play. I'd love to see him be a little bit more aggressive, getting off of blocks and getting downhill and helping in the run game. Level of competition, I'm not going to beat this one up too long. Again, Southern Utah, I mean, you're playing against, lesser competition. It's Division I AA, so it is what it is. You know what that's about. I'm not going to sit here and harp on that. Refined press and bail technique. I already told you that he's great in man-to-man press coverage. Off of that comes your press and bail. So you want to disguise, you want to make it look like it's press, and then you bail at the last second. I think he's a little high in that. I don't think he does a great job of planting and driving out of that. I saw some underneath routes caught in front of him in press and bail that I said to myself, if you were in man-to-man coverage, that wouldn't have jumped off. You gave up some space and you weren't aggressive enough in planting and driving on that route. I'm seeing guys catch 12-yard passes in front of him, and I'm like, nah, man, that's not what you do. You don't give that up. So I feel like he can refine his press and bail technique a little bit, not give up so much cushion, be a little bit more aggressive in coming up and attacking some of these underneath routes. He'll be fine. I think there's something here with LeShaun Sims in the 5th round, 157th overall selection. Southern Utah cornerback LeShaun Sims is a double. There's some skills here. There's some physical makeup here. There's a lot to work with. And I think in time, this is a guy that may potentially become a starter for you in Tennessee. 6th round, 193rd overall selection. Arkansas offensive lineman Sebastian Tretola is the selection. This is a physical, nasty, road grading offensive lineman. 6'4", 314 pounds. Physical phone booth brawl. Okay, physical phone booth brawl. Savage in the run game. Okay, savage. He's an animal in the run game. Creates a new line of scrimmage. So let me just talk about that for a second. Remember I said I was going to talk about the new identity of the Titans, what they're trying to establish in Tennessee? Just look at what they've done in this draft. So Sebastian Tretola as a guard, okay? Jack Conklin in the 1st round. I told you what this guy is in the run game. And then Derrick Henry at the running back position. Just think about what they're trying to do. All right, they go get Ben Jones in the offseason as a center. You already got Taylor Lewan, Chance Warmack. Listen to what they're trying to do. Look at what they're trying to build in Tennessee. They're trying to build a bully. They're trying to build an offense that can run it and ram it down your throat. And then when you start looking for the run, they got Marcus Mariota going play action fake, freezing the linebackers, and shredding teams with the football down the field. This is something that I think they're looking to establish in Tennessee. They're looking to carve out an identity for their football team. We want to be physical, strong at the point of attack. We watched Carolina run the football down teams' throats last year and then run play action fake off of it and take that all the way to the Super Bowl. Did the Panthers have the best talent in the league offensively? Hell no. But what they did was they had an offensive philosophy that was hard to stop. If you got the guys up front and the running back in the backfield to make it work, and then the quarterback that can take advantage of some vertical routes, and you got the receivers to do that as well, you can make some things happen in this league. Sebastian Tretola, I think, is the final piece in the puzzle that the Tennessee Titans are trying to put together as a physical road grading offensive line. Anchors well in pass pro. He's solid in pass pro. He's not great, but he does anchor down. I'll talk about him in pass pro a little bit later on, but he turns defenders as the next pro. This guy gets in fights along that offensive line in the run game. I love watching him because he's doing everything he can to take that defender and turn him and create an easy angle for the running back. Like, I want you to know how to cut off my block. And Alex Collins was getting some easy rushing lanes behind Sebastian Tretola. If you go watch him in that K-State game, the final game of both of their careers, in that bowl game versus K-State, look at how many runs Alex Collins had off the butt of Sebastian Tretola. A couple of touchdown runs off of his ass. And right there, at the end of the game, when they're looking to put it away, salt the clock away, he's running behind Sebastian Tretola again, and he's turning guys, and he's fighting dudes. I'm like, literally, he starts here, and that defensive lineman is trying his hardest to stay squared up so that he can try to make a play. And Sebastian Tretola's like, get your ass that way, man. I'm going to turn him. Right there, it allows Alex Collins or whomever's in the backfield to run right behind him. He fights tooth and nail in the run game, and I love it, man. This dude is so physical. And the next pro is that he engages and he drives. Rarely do you see the guy that he's blocking make the tackle. He's taking a dude, and he establishes contact, and then he's driving. We going driving. Get in the car. All right, sit your ass in the passenger seat. Put your damn seatbelt on, because it's going to be a bumpy one. We going for a ride, man. We going to drive. And so he takes the dude, and I saw him take a guy and move him about 6 yards off the ball. I said, God damn it, that's not cool, man. I mean, he's a savage, okay? Ooh, yeah, he's a savage. I love it, man. And I love what the Titans are trying to do here, okay? This pick, for me, solidifies what they're trying to do. They're trying to be nasty in the run game, and I love it. Cons, doesn't get enough depth in his pass sets. He's so aggressive that even in passing situations, instead of him taking a couple of steps back and getting a little bit of depth and seeing what's going on and absorbing a little bit of contact, he's still trying to dish out punishment. I'm like, hey dude, what are you doing? By you taking a couple of steps up when the snap or at least not going backwards, you're putting everybody else at risk because they're thinking to themselves, well, if this guy beats me to the inside, at least I got Sebastian behind me backing me up. No, you don't. No, the hell you don't. Sebastian is up at the line of scrimmage blocking the dude because instead of him taking a couple of steps back in his pass drop, this dude is up here blocking while everybody else is behind him. So guess what? When that tackle out there who thinks he's got help to the inside gives up the inside swim move, Sebastian Tretola's not there to help him. Sebastian Tretola's at the line of scrimmage blocking the dude and being physical with the dude unnecessarily. Take a better drop. I get some more depth. Come back here where everybody else is and create a pocket. Don't be up here by yourself because right now you're not helping me. You're not being a team player. You're being selfish right now. Help me, help them, help you. Okay? So, in other words, just get better depth on your pass drop, man. He's so aggressive. He just is, man. Limited athletically. So, he's a guy that not gonna be great out in space per se. That's not his strong suit. You put him in a little bit of a box and you say, hey, go get somebody, he can do that. You take him and you start pulling him in. And they did this periodically at Arkansas. You start pulling him and you ask him to go out on a screen and you get mixed results, okay? Sometimes, and this is his last con, he struggles from the transition from double team to the second level. He's so physical, like, he starts eating up a double team and he's like, this is pretty tasty. And you're like, hey, Sebastian, I got him. The center is like, I got him. Go to the second level. Go get that linebacker. Go get that safety. I got this, man. And he's like, but this is so good. Like, we're eating good here. Why you want me to go start on a new meal, man? This is good. I like what I'm eating right now, man. Let me finish this. And the center's like, I got this, man. I don't need your help no more. And so Sebastian's like, all right. By the time he decides, I'm going to go get this second level defender, it's too late. Now he's already in the play and it's just all convoluted at that point. He needs to do a better job of saying, all right, you got this. Let me go to the second level and gobble somebody up and engulf somebody. And if he can do that, if he can master the double team off to the second level, do it cleaner because he's already not a great athlete. So if you waste any time on that double team that doesn't need to be spent there, you're not going to get to, because he's not athletic enough to get out there and get to that second level defender if he's wasting time. He can't afford to waste an extra second on a double team that's already established and that guy's already taken care of. He's got to get to the second level. If he can do that and clean that up in the run game, he's flawless in the run game for me. Pass sets, I just think he needs to get some better depth. Sometimes he'll give it up in pass sets, but I just think he needs better depth. But this is a guy that I like here in the 6th round. 193rd pick overall. Arkansas offensive lineman Sebastian Tretola is a double. To me, he's going to give up some hits on your quarterback just because he didn't get great depth, and I think sometimes he can be a little bit grabby, overextendy in the pass game. He's not a great athlete, so if you beat him inside with a move, you can get him. And I think he's going to give up a couple pressures. That's why he's not a triple. But in the run game, I mean, literally in the run game, I'm looking at him like, man, you look like a home run to me. So I love what the Titans are doing, and I think this is a guy that solidifies it for me. They're looking to be physical in the run game. They're looking to establish an identity in Tennessee. You go to the 7th round, UCLA linebacker, 222nd pick overall. Aaron Wallace is the selection. 6'3", 240 pounds. Intriguing size and athleticism. You're talking about a guy that ran a 4.55 40, so he's got some athleticism. At 6'3", 240 pounds, I love his length and his size as well. So there's a lot here that I'm intrigued by with Aaron Wallace. He's capable of setting the edge at 6'3", 240, long limbs. I think he can even put on another 5 to 10 pounds. This is a guy that I look at and I say, man, I'm intrigued. Show me more. Show me more. Thought he set the edge very solidly while at UCLA in a few games that I watched. I'm like, that's not bad, man. It's not great, but that's not bad. For a dude that hasn't been doing it that long, that's not bad at all. Lateral quickness. I watched this guy move laterally. Saw him run with the running back out of the backfield against Daniel Lasco, who was a very explosive, athletic running back. Saw him run with him out of the backfield, keep up with him stride for stride. I think this guy has some really good lateral quickness as well. So there's a package here that I like with Aaron Wallace. Natural pass rush ability is the next pro. This is a guy that only played 1 year of getting meaningful snaps at UCLA. 7 sacks in 1 year. And even in that season where he got meaningful snaps, he played less than 60% of the snaps. He wasn't supposed to start. Because of the injuries to Miles Jack and some of the other guys on the football field, he had to go in and get some reps, and he made the most of those reps and got himself selected in the draft. And I'll tell you what, he showed some speed and burst off the edge. He showed me some hand usage. He showed me some inside moves where he was able to go outside, back inside, stunt twist, inside up the A-gap, come after the quarterback, force a pass, look faster than the quarterback wanted to deliver. I also saw a spin move as a counter. So there's a lot to work with here. I think this guy's a little bit more advanced than a guy that hasn't been playing. He has the experience of a sophomore, going into a sophomore season, but he doesn't look like it because of what he's doing on the field. So I think there's something that you can work with here with Aaron Wallace. And he can bend the corner. He's a guy that I saw him run the track. I saw him run the track, beat the tackle against Cal. He's against their left tackle, beats him around the corner with speed, uses the hands to slap his hands down, bends the corner, makes that sharp turn, gets to Jared Goff, gets him on the ground for a sack. So I can see him doing some things that, again, established pass rushers in college football aren't even doing. So there's a lot that I like with Aaron Wallace. And then finally, bloodlines. Dad, second round pick of the Oakland Raiders in the early 90s, played his entire career with the Raiders. So there's NFL bloodlines as well. So there's a lot to like here with Aaron Wallace. You go to his cons. He's raw with limited experience. I already told you that. This guy was at UCLA for 4 years, maybe even 5, but 4 for sure. And there wasn't a lot of experience. You go through his numbers. He did nothing in his freshman year, nothing in his sophomore year, nothing in his junior year. And then finally, a couple of injuries allows him to hit the field in his senior year, and he makes the most out of it. 50 or 60 some odd tackles. But the 7 sacks is what jumped out at me because I saw the ability for this guy to get to the passer. And I said to myself, there's something here. I like it. I like it a lot. And if put in situations to succeed, this guy could come in and I think he could actually have an impact on this Titans football team. Lacks pure instincts. And to me, that just comes with just not playing. I mean, you don't know because you haven't been in the situations enough to know. So I'm not going to beat him up for lack of pure instincts. He just hasn't played enough to have a natural feel for what he should be doing on the field. At the linebacker position, he needs to stack and shed better. And again, I chalk a lot of that up to just having not played the position long enough and getting experience in real game action. You can do all you want in practice, but until you're in the game and you experience it, he needs to stack and shed better though. I think he can. I just don't think he realizes I'm not doing it enough. And ball carrier comes your way, get rid of that offensive lineman, get to the ball carrier. If he can do that better, I can actually see this guy starting. And this isn't anytime soon. We're talking 3-4 years down the road when he's established himself. He's gotten into a regimen and he's figured it out. because he still needs time to develop. I think he's still missing a lot of that development that he was supposed to get in college, but he just didn't play enough. So there's still work to be done if he makes this roster. But I think he can and he should, because I think he can help you by getting to the quarterback. In third and obvious passing situations, I wouldn't mind seeing a package where you got a bunch of guys walking around, Orakpo, Kevin Dodd, Aaron Wallace. I wouldn't mind seeing a bunch of these guys walking around the field and creating havoc, okay? And I could see a guy like Aaron Wallace being on the field in a situation like that, and maybe even getting in the game and doing some things. So in the 7th round, 222nd overall pick, UCLA linebacker Aaron Wallace is a double. I see potential here, especially as a pass rusher. I like his size. I like his athleticism. I think there's some things there to work with. And finally, rounding out your draft in the 7th round, 253rd overall selection, Mr. Irrelevant of this year's draft, and probably one of the best Mr. Irrelevants we've seen. Southern Miss defensive back Kalan Reed is a selection, 5'11", 195 pounds. Dynamic athlete, 4'3", 840. This guy could pick him up and put him down. 41.5-inch vert, so this guy is explosive, I tell you. And he plants and drives on the football. Does a really good job of coming back for the ball. That's how this guy's made some big plays. Had 2 INTs for touchdowns in 2015. One of them was on a comeback where he just plants and drives, runs the route for the receiver, picks it off, goes down the sideline, touchdown. So this is a guy that does a really good job of coming back, planting and driving for the football. Explosive leaper. The highlight play of his career came against Charlotte, where he has a one-hand interception where he's trailing the receiver, but he's in the hip pocket, trailing him. Looks back for the football, sees it. The receiver tries to shield him with his body. Tries to shield Kalan Reed with his body. Put him in between Reed and the ball. And Reed says, no, you don't. He jumps over him, stretches over him with one hand, grabs the football with one hand in the end zone for a pick. It's a beautiful play. Just shows you that explosive burst and that leap that I talked about. He shows it on that particular play. And you see it sometimes, the explosiveness that he has and the ability to run, that 4.3, 840, that vertical that I just mentioned. You see it when he gets these interceptions. One of the knocks on Kalan Reed is that he didn't play to his time speed all the time. Well, I saw it on that pick 6. I saw it on that interception against Charlotte. I saw the explosiveness in that vert. I saw the pick 6 speed where he ran past like 4 or 5 defenders that had angles. He just beat them down the sidelines. So I saw all of those things on display. He keys quarterbacks' eyes well, and I think this is where he excels. He's a guy that I don't think in man-to-man coverage is as dynamic as he is when he's in zone and he's watching the quarterback and keying his eyes and seeing where he wants to go with the football. That allows him to plant and drive and react quicker. So again, I'm not going to beat him up for not playing at the time speed, because when in his natural element, which is zone coverage, I think this is a guy that you would think though, and I think that's why a lot of scouts are upset with him, is that with that kind of speed, and he's 5'11", so he's got pretty good length, he would be better in man-to-man coverage, and he's just not, which is fine. Make plays, and that's what he does when he keys quarterbacks' eyes, which takes me to the next pro, ball skills. 8 career INTs, 6 of them came in the last 2 seasons, 4 of them last year, including 2 of them to the crib for touchdowns. So this is a guy that can make plays, and when he gets his hands on the football, he's looking to make you pay. He will tackle. He's not afraid. That's his final pro. He'll come up and tackle you. He's not afraid to stick his nose in there and get dirty. So again, a lot to like here with Kalan Reed here in the 7th round. Not your typical 7th round selection, especially when you're talking Mr. Irrelevant. You go to his cons. He can be over-aggressive. I think his eyes can get him in trouble again. Most of the cornerbacks who are best served keying quarterbacks' eyes, they're going to be over-aggressive naturally. So that means they can be beaten with double moves, and you can get them to bite up on something underneath and then get them deep. So he's one of those guys. Yeah, he can be over-aggressive. I saw him get beat on some plays behind him where he was just looking for something shallow. It ended up being a deep route. He bit. It can happen. And he's not as fluid in man-to-man coverage, which irks a lot of scouts, which is why I think he ended up here in the 7th round. You look at his measurables, you look at his ability to run and be explosive, you're thinking his man-to-man coverage should be off the charts, and it's not. So I think that's something that he's going to have to work on technique-wise. I think it's not something that's not correctable. It's just flaws in his technique. If he gets better at those things, he could have something here in the 7th round, 253rd overall selection. Southern Miss defensive back Kalan Reed for me is a double to round out this Titans draft. Really felt like the Titans did a phenomenal job in this draft from start to finish. Even in the 7th round, I feel like the two guys that they selected have a chance to not only make this football team, but be contributors down the road. So this is a absolutely magnificently crafted draft by John Robinson and company. Let's go over their scores quickly. First round, Jack Conklin, home run, tackle out of Michigan State. 2nd round, Clemson edge rusher Kevin Dodd, another home run. 2nd round, Penn State defensive lineman Austin Johnson is a triple. Derrick Henry, running back out of Alabama in the 2nd round, is a home run. Middle Tennessee State defensive back Kevin Byard is a triple. Tajae Sharpe, wide receiver out of UMass, is a double. So is LeShaun Sims, Southern Utah cornerback in the 5th round. So is 6th round selection out of Arkansas, offensive lineman Sebastian Tretola. And so is Aaron Wallace and Kalan Reed, both 7th round picks. Wallace out of UCLA and Southern Miss defensive back Kalan Reed. So a lot of damage done by the Titans in this draft. You total up their score. You got 3 home runs, which nets you a home run bonus, the rare home run bonus. You got 2 triples, and then you got 5 doubles, which nets you 3 doubles bonuses. You tally all of that up, it's 38. Divide by the 10 selections made by the Titans. It's a 3.8 triple. Correct me if I'm wrong here, that's the 2nd best draft so far behind the Jaguars in their haul in 2016. So that is a remarkable draft by the Titans. And again, one of these drafts that I think you'll look back on in 4 or 5 years and say, that was the basis for the turnaround in Tennessee, that 2016 draft, on the heels of the 2015 draft when we got our franchise quarterback. So that's the Tennessee Titans 2016 NFL draft. If that happens in the National Football League, whether big or small, we cover it all here in the lab room. Come back and join me so I can see you to break down in the National Football League. Who's next? There's plenty more where that came from. While you're here, subscribe to the channel. If you want more Louie T, be sure to follow me on Twitter at @InTheLabRoom, or you can like the Facebook page at In the Lab Room. That's In the Lab Room on Facebook and at In the Lab Room on Twitter. Don't forget, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already done so.
Mm-hmm.